Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. And we're going to continue our discussion on genealogical identity. And you'll remember when I was talking about genealogical identity, I said that it actually had three components. According to the identity triangulation model of Elizabeth Shown Mills, and according to Craig Scott and his peso dance. And I've done a little research on the peso dance to see if I could find pictures maybe of somebody in a peso dance. And it's called the Wedding Prosperity Dance. It's not called the peso dance. It's called the Wedding Prosperity Dance. And if you go out just about anywhere in YouTube and search for Wedding Prosperity Dance or Filipino Wedding Prosperity Dance, it'll show up. And my memory of it was that the bride wandered around dancing and people pinned stuff to her. But all of these videos that I was able to find show that both the bride and the groom are being pinned. I'll just continue to call it the peso dance. So the components of the identity triangulation model or the peso dance are persona or person, relationships or kin, origin or origins. So these are the three components. So we're going to talk today about persona or person. And basically what we're looking for are ways to make a person unique. And I'm sure that you can come up with many ways that you can make a person unique. I think my favorite one is who his spouse is, or how many spouses he's had. In other words, all of his spouses. But you want to find pieces throughout the course of their entire life that add to them. Like one John Smith was a War of 1812 soldier. One John Smith was not a War of 1812 soldier. One John Smith was in Indiana. One John Smith was in Illinois. One John Smith came from Pennsylvania to Indiana. One John Smith came from Virginia to Indiana. Those kind of things. And this isn't just a randomized thing. This is an attachment thing. In other words, we don't find all the John Smith records we can find and throw them in a bag and shake it up and pull out something and say, oh, that John Smith. One of the problems that you'll encounter is that John Smith, you may have a John Smith with one record, a John Smith with another record, another John Smith with a different record, and they could be three different people, they could be two people, they could be one person. You want to see if you can correlate those records together to determine whether you're dealing with one person, two people, or three people. I pretty much ignore the concept of name, largely because names will get you in trouble. In other words, John Smith will get you in trouble. Attaching every record to John Smith will get you in trouble. So I like to have this, what Elizabeth calls persona, that I attach things to, of which the name is just part and parcel to those records. So the primary focus doesn't become the name. The primary focus becomes those records that create this persona. You also have to recognize that there are people who know this person much better than you do. And we'll talk about this in the future. It's called the cluster genealogy or the fan principle. Elizabeth calls it friends, associates, and neighbors. I call it like a double FAN, family, friends, associates, and neighbors, because we learn from all four of those. And I think when she discusses the F in fan, she also talks about family as well as friends. And so that's okay. I really don't care. I don't want to have a FFAN principle. I'm quite content with the fan principle. So you want to see what these members of this cluster can contribute to your ability to make an individual unique. In other words, when you look at this individual, who are his friends and associates? Are they the same as this other individual of the same name? Or are they different? I can remember as a kid, genealogical kid, meaning 30, 40 years ago, hearing the story about, and I think it was Elizabeth who told it to me in a lecture, about white potato farmers and sweet potato farmers, and being able to differentiate these two families of the same name because of how they farmed, what they farmed. And would a white potato farmer woman marry a sweet potato farmer man? Probably not. Some things are just totally out the window kind of thing, that you really have to reach for them in order to get them to work. And you want to, in doing this, in creating this persona, you don't want to ignore those individuals who aren't actually part of that persona, but might have been if things would have been a little bit differently. So you want to identify and thoroughly research everybody of that same name in the same place and time in order to help you sort out the identities. So that's a tough one because I just told you not to focus on name. But again, we're not focusing on name. We're focusing on the records that are attached to that name. And that's what makes the difference. So this is Craig. This is Just Genealogy. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends if you haven't. Don't force them to watch my videos, please. Well, maybe. Y'all have a good day. Bye.